Up next, we're going to check out a special indie fighting game made entirely by two individuals known as Tough Love Arena. Please help me welcome Michael Paul Weeks and Jingyi Zhu to the stage.
Hello, we are Tough Love Arena. Thank you, EVO, for having us. I am Paul, the programmer and game designer, and with me is Amy, my co-creator, the artist, designer, everything else.
Hello, it's me, Amy. I won't talk much, but if you see us later, please come say hi.
Yeah, we're over in the Mix indie developer thing.
Mix showcase.
Mix showcase, thank you so much. So, I'm so glad to be here. Do we have slides? Cool. Then, awesome. If you don't mind, I just want to take a minute to tell you about our indie game and why you should give it a chance. So a little bit about me. Next slide. This is a picture of me at EVO about 9 years and 40 pounds ago. And I bring this up just to show that I've been here for a while. I love coming here. I love fighting games. Fighting games are very important to me. And as with probably most people in the audience or watching on stream, you know, I want to share the things I love. I want to get my friends into fighting games. But that's not always the easiest task. If you go to the next slide. I often feel when I'm trying to, you know, teach my friends or teach my coworkers, get them into the scene, that I hit some sort of bottleneck, they hit some hurdles. And this is not a new phenomenon. If you go on to twitter.com, you can find all sorts of hot takes about, you know, how can we make fighting games bigger? Is it that they're hard? Is it that they need better tutorials? Is it that, you know, it's a one-on-one fight? Like, what's going on? How can we get more people to share this passion that we share? And I had my own thoughts, I had my own feelings, and I decided to put my money where my mouth was, so to speak. And that's why we made Tough Love Arena. Next slide. So here it is. We made a fighting game. And specifically, I was trying to make the fighting game that I wanted to have to teach my friends. The fighting game that I think would have made it easiest for me to learn how to play fighting games. And as I was trying to figure that out and trying to build this thing with this very specific purpose, I came across sort of 4 rules that I want to share with you today that I think you might find interesting and help prove to you why Tough Love Arena is worth giving a chance. So number 1, there has to be a fighting game. I didn't want to get too abstract or too experimental. You know, I want this to give the player transferable skills. If I'm teaching someone Tough Love Arena, I want them to be able to use this as an on-ramp to then go to a Street Fighter or a Guilty Gear or anything else. So I can't change the rules too much. I want to have these, you know, things like confirms and spacing and combos and reading and mind games. Like, this all needs to be part of the puzzle so that it feels like a fighting game. And it has to have, you know, everything else we expect from a fighting game. Training mode, versus, online with rollback netcode, the whole works. Rule number 2, next slide. It has to have appeal. We often talk in the community about, you know, depth and balance, and these are all really important, really valuable for retaining people. But I didn't start playing fighting games because they were so deep. I started playing fighting games because I was a kid, and I was at the bowling alley, and when I put a quarter into the Marvel vs. Capcom 1 machine, the announcer lady said, "Let's go crazy." And that was cool. That was just cool and fun and exciting. And I really wanted to capture that. And this is where I give massive credit to my co-creator, Amy, the brainchild behind the art style. We tried to keep it, you know, light and goofy and fun and appealing. Every character has a sort of visual gimmick between the meats getting, you know, real muscly and the spices with their after images. We tried to have something for players to sort of hook in and identify with so that we could be memorable and we could look fun, because that's how you get people in the door. Rule number 3, next slide. Now, this is one you've probably heard before. You know, we want to lower the barrier to entry. However, if you go to the next slide, the whole mantra I had while making this game was low floor, high ceiling. I realized after iterating for a little while, when we were a couple months into development, I was making this really nice beginner game, this friendly intro game. But was it a game that I wanted to play? Was it, if I was trying to teach my friend Steve, is this something I actually wanted to play with Steve? So as much as I want to cater to the beginning audience, and I want to give them, you know, that jump to intentionality as fast as possible, I want to give them something that they can learn in 5 minutes and go do a combo, which is the left side, I got to have something for me. I got to have something for the enfranchised players, for the people here at EVO, that you can sort of sink your teeth into. You have something to go to training room for, something to lab, right? So we had to make sure to include just enough spice so that it feels like a fighting game. It feels like there's room to grow, but there's still ways for beginners to get into it. And this covers many different facets. I was really paying attention to when I taught people, like, what were their paint issues? Oh, well, they kind of don't block enough. They struggle to know when to block high and low and not mash. Well, in our game, you block by doing nothing. They didn't know how to, they would struggle with, like, oh, I'm not spending my meter. I don't know how to spend my meter. I don't know when to do, these cancels and everything else. Well, we use just one meter for both cancels and for burst. So if you're a beginner, just burst. You're going to be mashing, you'll get the burst. Don't worry, it won't go to waste. And, oh, my favorite one is everyone would try to jump, and they would try to jump in on the opponent, and they just wouldn't hit the button at the right time. They hit it a little too early, they'd hit it too late. It wouldn't, or maybe they'd jump over their opponent's head. They couldn't get a sense for the spacing and the timing quite yet. So the jumps in our game do not cross up, and they sort of home in, and they attack at the right time. You get the function of a jump, the strategy of a jump, of I want to go over that fireball or I want to go over that normal, but you don't have to worry about, like, the little minutia of just timing at the right time, which to us is, so automatic, but can be really alienating to someone brand new. And lastly, the fourth rule that was most important to me and sort of makes us really stand out, I believe, is, next slide, accessibility in terms of access. We always talk about accessibility with, oh, is it easy to learn, barrier to entry, etc. But I wanted a game that people could share, people could play, no matter what their situation, no matter what they owned or what kind of money they had. As much as, I learned about fighting games at the arcade or at the bowling alley, I got good at fighting games playing emulators in the computer lab. I was, a kid, I didn't have any money, but here was these things that I could just put on during class and just sneak in a few games of some, old emulated game and have fun. And so Tough Love Arena is in the browser. It's a browser-based game, and it's totally free. So if you want to play with your friend, you just got to send them a link. And as long as you have any computer with an internet connection or modern phone, it also works on phones, you can hop into a game and you can play a game online in less than a minute. Next slide. So, all those things put together, I am really proud of what we've accomplished. I'm really proud of the community we've grown. And I think we've really succeeded at building, this on-ramp game. It's not going to be for everyone. It, has a few very opinionated decisions, but I'm really excited about its potential to teach people and to bring people into the scene and bring people to EVO. So thank you so much for listening to my talk. You can play the game right now at toughlovearena.com, totally free, no installation. And if you'll stick around for just another minute, we have a nice little video to show you. Thank you, and it's been great.
Nice. It will be enough. What? It will be last round.
Dude, Tough Love Arena is sick.
And I tried to add just enough to get to the fighting game that I would have fun playing, but still felt as simple and bare bones as possible.
Tough Love Arena at toughlovearena.com.